Sorry, Cyrus.
Recording was- Thank you. That recording is very important. That's for the people who had good intentions and maybe we'll look on later. Okay. So, moreover, Abosai, I want to welcome everybody back. I don't think I have anybody new yet. And if we do in the course of the Shiur, we will welcome them. Now, we're dedicating this Shiur for the Fur Shlema to Cholim. Rina Miriam Bas Tova and Hil Benecha Chaya Tova. May they each be granted a full refuah shlema to kol cholei Amcho Yisrael. See, just like that, somebody who wasn't here before just showed up. Got to do all this again. Phil? And here comes Phil. Let me wait for him to be audible. Phil, you hear us?
I hear you. You hear me?
Excellent. I hear you fine. Just didn't see it. Not a problem. So, as I was saying, I want to welcome you all back. And Phil, you're new, so you are the new person to the Param Chadashos that we are welcoming in. And this year is being dedicated for Fur Shlema to Cholim, Rina Miriam Bas Tova, and Hillel ben Necha Chaya Tova, that they each be granted a full refuah shlema to kol chol Amcho Yisrael.
Amen.
So I'm going to tell you, if any of you have read past Perek Bays in Hosea, you know more about this Navi than I do. Really. The last time I studied Trei Asar was in middle school. And other than the teacher, I have almost no recollection of this Navi. Every week I prepare from scratch for the next year. In essence, this really is a journey we take together. I don't generate Mara Makomos or source sheets because the time required will take away from the prep time necessary to properly present a perek, in my estimation. I look at each perek globally, and I try to ask and answer the questions and address the points of interest that I have. If I didn't, and I tried to dumb it down and skip things, I'd be cheating you, or more so, I'd be cheating myself, and I hate being cheated. If you haven't noticed already, I do not go through, Marvin's coming on, I don't go through a line-by-line reading and translation of the perek. That's why we send out the perek a week in advance with an English translation, and should you have the time, you'll look at it. So all you got to do is look on your screen, and it's right there. And everybody will benefit from familiarizing themselves with the material. Finally, though it may seem to the contrary, I do not use all the material I learn. This is a departure point. Each of you is encouraged to mine this incredibly rich Navi and learn even more. Perek Bet is a prophecy of comfort to the nation in exile, mostly. They will increase exponentially, then they'll be freed from captivity, returned to the land. And this prophecy concerns two redemptions, future and final Geula, and the Geula after 70 years in Golus Bavel. So the Navi exhorts the nation, why are you sinning? Abandon the Torah and carry on the nations of the world. So Yisrael believed that their wealth was a result of acting like the nations. The punishment, serious misfortune and exile. And the Navi exhorts them. Do they listen? So what's going to happen? Joy will abandon us. Klal Yisrael will suffer in Golus and awaken finally to the worship of Hashem. Then we'll be redeemed, go to our land, and be blessed. You've all heard this before. This will be a permanent redemption, and Hashem's blessings will be permanent. And my dear Chaverim know well the words permanent and forever take on an absolutely distinct, different context when the message comes from the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's permanence. So we're going to divide the perek into 4 sections. Section 1, first 3 psukim. It's complete about face from where we were last week. It's a vision of a brilliant future, and it emphasizes the distinction between the present and the future, as evidenced by the changes in the names given to the children in the first parak. Second section, the longest section. Okay, Ira was here and he left and he's back again. Give him a second. The second section are Psukim Daled through Yud Zayin. Am Yisrael, who was unfaithful, deserves all the calamities that befall whores and unfaithful wives. The nation will be punished with destruction and exile, yet the Ribono Shel Olam's boundless love for us, he will not desert us. We will not be destroyed. The punishments will serve as a means for atonement, for kapara, and purification, tahara. And a day will come when the great connection between Klal Yisrael and Hashem will be renewed. Second section, longest number of psukim. Psukim Yud Ches through Chav Bet. After all the bad things that will happen to us, Hashem will enter into a brit that will never be repealed. Okay. And the last section, Psukim Chav Gimel through Chav Hey, we will experience all the goodness Hashem can provide. First section, Psukim Aleph through Gimel. It's complete about face. It's a brilliant future. The names of the children that were given such terrible names in Perek Aleph are going to change. Look at the first pasuk. By the way, in case anybody did not know before, I promised I would do this. The two svarim that we use are the art scroll, Nikros Gedolos in Hebrew, and the Milstein edition of the Prophets, which is the English translation. They're both fantastic, and I must tell you, I happen to have, and it's not because I ever envisioned myself as someone who would teach Navi, I have about 7 or 8 sets of Nevi'im. Not one touches the art scroll Mikros Gedolos. Every new Navi that we learn adds Mefarshim never seen before. We'll mention some of them. So if you look at the first pasuk, the pasuk says, "V'haya mispar b'nei Yisrael kechol hayam," and the number of b'nei Yisrael will be like the sand on the shore. Asher lo yimad will not be measured, but lo yisafer will not be counted. We are b'mkom asher ye'omer lahem, and instead of where they were called lo amiatem, you are not my nation, ye'omer lahem b'nei el chai. You're the children of the living God. I ask you, what happened between Perek Aleph and Perek Bet? What happened between Shabbos and Shabbos that this happened? So the message to the Navi is a complete 360. Remember the message to the Navi, because the Navi is relating what God says, always. We have had talks about this, we've had debates about this, and the Mefarshim debate as well, that what is individual to the Navi is the language that they use. They're Nevi'im that are filled with gorgeous poetry, mind-blowing, mouth-breaking words. Some are a lot more simple, some are storylines. But the authorship of all Nevi'im basically is the Ribono Shel Olam. So the extent of our rejection is expressed in Hosea's forced marriage and the names he must give to 3 children he fathers. Now everything is looking up. So what happened? Huh? Very simple. You know Gemara in Psachim Pei Zayin Amud Beis. Suk the Gemara. Kevan Sheyada Shechata. Since he knew that he had sinned, he realized this. Amad levakesh rachamim al atzmo. He said, God, forgive me. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God said to him, Ad she'ata mevakesh rachamim al atzmacha. He says, really? You want me to forgive you? You want rachamim for yourself? Vakesh rachamim al Israel. How about the nation that you caused all these curses, all these bad things that I said would happen to them? Shekazarti aleim shalosh gezeros b'avurcha. He said, I cursed them with three separate things. He says, how about asking for them? So, Omar Bikesh Rachamim Ubitel Kazera. He got up, he said, God, have Rachamim on the Jewish people, and the decree was nullified, which is good. Bischil Avarchan, start to give brachas, Shenemar, Vayam Mispar B'nai Yisrael Kechol Hayam. And the number of the Jewish people will be like the sand on the seashore. And in place where I called you, not my people, you are the children of the living God. And the children of Yehuda and the children of Yisrael, trust me, not always kissing cousins. He says, Uzeratiha li ba'aretz, v'richamti es lo ruchama. He says, and I will sow you in the land, and I will have mercy es lo ruchama. And she who I called lo ruchama, v'amarti lo ami liata. Okay, really very simple, Zip the Gemara. He says, you want forgiveness for yourself? How about asking for Klal Yisrael? He does. Klal turn to brachas. It's a beautiful thing. So the first half of Rashi references this Gemara, but the second half of the Rashi in the first pasuk has a lovely mashal nimshal. Rabbi Omer, yesh parshios smuchos zu lezu. He says, urachoko zu mizu kirachok mizrach mimarav. There were sections of the text that are as close to each other yet as far apart as east is from west. Ki atem lo ami, because you are not my nation. He says, and then he says, you're not my nation. And then he says, you're going to be like the sand on the seashore. He says, what gives? So, mashal and nimshal. So the proverbial king is angry with his wife. So he calls for the Sofer to write a get. Sofer must be a busy guy. Doesn't get there immediately. In between the time, they reconcile. Shalom al Yisrael. So we see the cartoon thought bubble above the king's head. And he thinks, if I send this Sofer away, he's going to think, well, why did this lame brain call me anyway? So he says, I know, I'll have him write an official coda to our ksuba, doubling its value. Very good. Now, we don't want to spend the entire shiur on Pasuk Aleph. We've already spent a little time on it. But there are a few very nice midrashim worthy of mention. And I'll let me, my source of midrashim, by the way, is usually a sefer called Otzar HaMidrashim. So it says, Uberchaso shel Yaakov shenisbarach ka'afar haaretz basa. And Yaakov's bracha, that he should be blessed to be like the sand on the land, ka'afar, the dust of the land, happened. B'nei Bilam, because it says shekain k'siv, it says in Bamidbar, mi mana afar Yaakov. It says by Bilam, he says, who can count? Because they're like the sand. Yitzchak says kachol, and Yitzchak was blessed to be like sand, not like dirt, but like sand. Said Basa b'nei Hosea, our pasuk. V'hayam mispar b'nei Yisrael kechol hayam, like the sand on the seashore, etc. So, Hoil, to be Yitzchak kesiv Bei Birchat Hachol. Now, by Yitzchak, it is written the blessing of sand. Shenemar ki beirech avarechacha. I will bless you doubly. Ukachol ashel sfas hayam. He says, but the Haya Nitzrach Lomar really should have said, V'yah mispar b'nei Yitzchak. This wasn't this after all Yitzchak's bracha? So, the number of the sons of Yaakov will be like the sand on the seashore. Says the Midrash, which is in Bamidbar Rabbah, both I shall bless you, and like the sands on the seashore. It should have said the number of the children of Yitzchak shall be as numerous as. But what it says is the number of the sons of Yisrael. So answers the Midrash. When Yaakov Avinu left Padan Aram, and his father Yitzchak gave him the bracha of sand, it says in Bereshis, Vayitein lecha es birkas Abraham. May you and your offspring be granted the blessing of Abraham. There's a superfluous word in there. Lecha es. Es. What is the word es doing? Answers Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. This is what Yitzchak told Yaakov. The bracha that both Abraham and I, Yitzchak, were blessed with at the Akedah in Bereshis, Chafbet Yud Zayin. He says, that's the bracha. Ki beirach aborechacha. I will surely bless you. So it refers to two distinct brachos. One blessing for Abraham, the father, a second blessing for Yitzchak, the son. As the pasuk continues, V'herbeh arbeh etzaracha kikochvei hashemayim ukechol asher al sfas hayam. V'herbeh arbeh. That's a double increase. Kefel lashon. One for Avram, one for Yitzchak. But the final phrase of the pasuk is kechol asher al sfas hayam. This bracha was given from Yitzchak to Yaakov. Therefore, our pasuk says, the Haya Mispar B'nei Yisrael, the Chol Hayam. The number of the children of Israel be as the sand on the shore of the ocean, because Yisrael was God's given name for Yaakov. Now, since the Yotzar Midrashim has 4 full pages of Midrashim on Pasuk Aleph, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you one tiny little Midrash more. So, about our pasuk, Rabbi Eliezer says, one who counts the Jewish nation has transgressed the law. Because it says in the pasuk, we are mispar b'nei Israel, kechol hayam asher lo yimad. The number of the Jewish nation shall be like the sand on the seashore that shall not be measured. Counting is like measuring, right? Not to be outdone, Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak says, one who counts the Jewish nation has transgressed 2 lavin, because it says in our pasuk, "Mispar b'nei Israel kechol hayam shelo yimad v'lo yisafer." They shall neither be measured nor counted. Now we can have loads and loads of fun with this pasuk, but we got to move on. So, in the general spirit of goodwill, the next 2 psukim say, "V'nikbetzu b'nei Yehuda u'b'nei Yisrael yachdav v'samu lahem Rosh Echad." The people of Yehuda, people of Yisrael will assemble together and it will appoint one head over them. Ya'alu haaretz ki gadol yom Yisrael. They will rise from the ground because it's going to be a great day for Yisrael. Now, we think we know what this pasuk means. They'll appoint one head. I'm referring to the words, V'samu lahem Rosh Echad. Appoint one head over them. So if we think we know it so well, I'm going to ask you to venture an interpretation. What does it mean? V'samu lahem Rosh Echad. And I'm going to go further. Pretty much anything you say is going to be right. You cannot be wrong. So don't be shy. And be courteous. Nobody step on anybody else. David.
The tribes of Israel will unite and will have one king over them.
Good. So Rashi says, Rosh Echad, David Malkam. David Melech. That works. Anybody else? Anything else? So Radak, by the way, if you happen to have your Chumashim with the Mikros Gedolos, Radak's on the top of page 19, and the art scroll Mikros Gedolos, and Perish Harid is in the right column below Rashi on page 18. Mitzudas David and Mincha Gedola, both below Rabbi Shmuel on page 21, a little bit of geography. We'll say it's Melech HaMashiach. Can never go wrong with that answer. So Rabbi Eliezer Miboron say, it's under Rashi on the left, they will reassemble in Eretz Yisrael as groups. That's what it means. Rosh Echad, the places they were in exile, they'll recollect as a group from the places they came from. Malbim says Mashiach ben Yosef will be the first leader. And if you want to know anything about Mashiach ben Yosef, I will find out what lecture I gave in Yechezkel when we talked about Mashiach ben Yosef. I'll refer you to that. But he'll be the first. So everything can be right. Now we have the brand new Farsh I've never seen before. Rabbi Shmuel al Moshninu. Now he's above Mitzudas David and Mitzudas Sion. Do you know who he is, Ira?
No, but the name would be pronounced Almasnino. It sounds like it. The al part sounds a little bit like it is with an Islamic influence. So I presume south of Spain.
I intend to. I have great intentions, but I always like to give a little toldos on who the Mefarshim are, because who are these lovely people and why we're listening to them. So Rabbi Shmuel Ambasino, above Mitzudas David and Mitzudas Sion, on page 18 of the article Mikros Gedolos, he directs us to Yeshaya, Perek Mem Pasuk Bet. He says, Dabru Alev Yerushalayim, speak tenderly to Yerushalayim, the Karu Eleha, and say to her, Himol'ah Tzva'ah, our term of service is concluded. Ki nirtza avonah, for iniquity is expiated. Ki lokcha miyad Hashem kiflayim b'chol chatoseha, for she has received at God's hand double for all her sins. In the manner in which we have been doubly punished, we shall be collected and replanted in our homeland. It says Ma'ari Karo, who's below Rashi, on the right on page 18. You'll get the geography, you get the svarim. From the day the nation was divided into two kingdoms, the Yisrael kingdom would be Ola Regel to an Egel in Dan, and another Egel in Beisel, Bik Regel. They were afraid if their constituency went to Yerushalayim, they might become frum. It says the hearts would be drawn to the king of Yehuda, Rechavam, and they would return to the northern kingdom. They'd kill the king of Yisrael. However, when the time we are describing arrives, we'll be unified under one king. As it says in Yechezkel, Lamed Vav, Chaf Daled, there'll be a single shepherd for us all. Now, all the Farshim are pretty much on the same page, but Ibn Ezra looks at this through the closer lens of current perspective. Says Ibn Ezra, V'nikbetzu, says, Tam v'nikbetzu, why were they gathered? Sherabim ibnei Yehuda tafas Sancheirav, because Sancheirav captured lots of us. V'chein kasuv, ki tafas kol orei Yehuda habitzuros, because he captured all the fortified cities. V'samu lahem rosh echad, and the king was chosen for them, a king, Zehu Sancheirav. Of course, Sancheirav. Sancheirav dominated the entire region, including the Jews. So they weren't so much coronating him with parades as they were accepting the reality that he was the superpower and master of their current destiny on whom their day-to-day lives depended. This was not so much the acceptance of an alternate theocracy, it was a political exigency. And the last pasuk in the first section, Imru le'achechem ami le'achosechem ruchama. Call your brothers my people, and your sisters ruchama, which they translated as lovingly accepted. This falls in line with the complete reversal of Hashem's abandonment of his nation. Reversal. Say, Dat Mikra, Abarbanel, Metzudas David. This is a reference to the enmity that had festered between the tribes of Yehuda and Binyamin and Shevet Ephraim for generations. That will totally abate when we're again repopulated in Eretz Yisrael. Now, Rabbi Eliezer Mibagonsi is not quite that nice. He says, oh, you're indeed my children, and not because of the stellar deeds which are about to be related in the next section. Psukim Daled through Yud Zayin. Am Yisrael was unfaithful, deserves the calamities that befall unfaithful wives. The nation will be punished with destruction and exile. Yet, the Ribono Shel Olam's boundless love for us will not desert us. We will not be destroyed. The punishments will serve as a means for atonement and purification. And a day will come when the great connection between Klal Yisrael and Hashem will be renewed. So we're referring now, we're going back to the unfortunate current times referenced in the first parak. We're again compared to a harlot because we have demonstrated unfaithfulness to the Ribono Shel Olam. Rivu ve'imchem rivu. You want to argue with somebody, argue with your mother. Ki hi lo ishti, you're not my wife. Ve'nochi lo isha, I'm not her husband. But taser zinuneha mipaneha. He says, and take off the adornments of her harlotry from her face. Ve'na'afufeha mibein shadeha. So, taser zinuneha mipaneha, well, a woman of the night, a lady of the evening, she wears a lot of makeup. That's what we're talking about. And that's the reference to the face. V'na'afufeha mibein shadeha, says the Radak. This refers to the nation exchanging true prophets for false ones, which is a mashal for the written and oral Torah, that they would exchange for idolatrous practices. That's the meaning of the na'afufeha. In Pasuk Hey, it says, Pen afshitena aruma. He says, or else I'll strip her naked. The Vilna Gaon says in Biurei Hagra that the neshama is being stripped naked of her clothing, which are mitzvot. Meaning in Golos, it'll be impossible to do mitzvot properly. Now, Ibn Ezra makes a famous reference to Mitzrayim that we mention at the Seder every year. The At, a Rome, the area. The Hiyosam ben Mitzrayim kasher hizkir Yecheskel. This is also a reference to Yecheskel, where we are likened to a foundling. Hashem says we are like a baby girl that is found, and the kind man takes her to his home. He cleans her, he dresses her, he washes her, he educates her, he clothes her, he bejewels her. She turns into a ravishing, pampered young woman. What does she do? Turns her back on him. The next psukim relate the often told story of the unfaithful wife who is disowned and seeks support from her lovers when all other roads are closed to her. Pasuk Yud makes it clear that the wealth we used to lavish on Avodah Zarah was taken from Hashem. And Hashem will remove these treasures to leave her exposed, literally and figuratively. Picture somebody loves someone so much, and they save, they sacrifice, they put aside money, they buy a nice gift. And the person who is gifted takes it and gives it to someone else. This is why Hashem is so angry. I gave you the gift, and this is what you do with it. So we see unfolding tales of degradation, abandonment, divine retribution. Pasuk 15 is the culmination of Hashem's anger and why the anger is so intense. Bokati allow as yemei habit olim asher taktir lahem, says, for the days of the Baalim on which she brought them offerings. The phrase as yemei habit olim asher taktir lahem, these are the specific holidays of Avodah Zarah on which it is worshipped. And what did they offer? Nizma, the Chol Yasa, her nose ring, her necklace, her jewelry, in a way. And like I said, take the gift given to you by your love, use for something that refutes the love. The word cholya is jewelry of the neck, nezem, nose ring, or alternatively, an earring. That mikra reminds us, what did the women do in order to create the Egel HaZahav? What did they do?
They took off all their jewelry and used it.
They ripped the earrings out of their ears. They took the necklaces off their necks. They threw it into a pile, melt it down, make us an egel. So the Daftik reminds us of what we did. Now, Rav Shamsin Raphael Hirsch, Zecher Tzadok Livracha, had very devoted and prolific sons and sons-in-law who took his teachings, collected them on specific svarim, and published them. In our studies, we've encountered Julius Hirsch, as well as Rav Shimon Schwab on Yeshaya, Rabbi Dr. Joseph Breuer on Yirmiyah and Yechezkel, and we'll catch him again on Eov, and now we'll refer to Rav Mendel Hirsch on Treyasar. So Rav Hirsch analyzes a pasuk, and you know when you're reading something that comes from the thoughts of Rav Shamsin Raphael Hirsch. Listen to this. Yemei ha'be'alim. Baal, the overpowering one, is a term used to describe the gods as overpowering forces, jealous of human happiness, before whom man must tremble, and whose anger and jealousy he must pacify by offerings. Among the forces of nature, God seemed to them to be such a Baal as well. But Ta'ad Nizma V'chol Yasa, this is her Jewish adornment, the Jewish jewels she put on before she followed the powers she felt she was dependent on, what she still kept of the laws she practiced in the pagan spirit. The Baalim recognize only those prostrate and trembling before them. To people serving God in fulfillment of his law, he proclaims, Va'olech eschem kol miyus. I will cause you to walk upright. I wish you to tread the path of life that is manly and upright manner, in a manly, upright manner. That comes from Vayikra Chavvav Yud Gimel. God wants us to regard him as our Ish, not as our Baal, as it says, the Osi Shachacha. The consciousness of God has been entirely lost to them. I'm telling you, nobody writes like anybody who comes from the family of Shamsin Raphael Hirsch. Stuff is magnificent. But in the next psukim, Tes Zion and Yud Zion, the twin shepherds, says another, and listen to the choice of language. L'chein hinei anochi mifateha, v'holichtiha hamidbar, v'dibarti al liba. Mifateha. Now they translate it, I will speak coaxingly to her. Excuse me. So,
Seduce. The word means to
Yeah.
seduce.
Ones mafata, seduce. Their Bodershim says, I'm going to seduce her and lead her through the wilderness. And I'll speak to her tenderly. When Asati law es kiraneha, Misham, yes, imek achor, lepetach tikva. The answer, Shama, kimein urel kayom alosa, eretz Mitzrayim. Oh, I will give her vineyards from there and the valley of Achor as a plow land of hope. petach, plowland, opening, I don't know. Look at how the Mefarshim explain the words Anochi Mifateha. Says Rashi, Lachein hine Anochi Mifateha mishad lo lahamshech acharai. And he says, the word is losange, the last, in Old French. Now, the Sefaria translation of this Rashi on this pasuk is incredible. It in of itself worth the price of admission. Listen. Therefore, behold, I will allure her. I will persuade her to be drawn after me. Losange in Old French, to flatter or cajole. Other editions read attrayer in Old French. I will lure or attract. And what's the allurement? And lead her into the desert in exile, which is to her like a desert and a wasteland. And there she will lay up to her heart that it was better for her when she performed my will than when she rebelled against me. To me, this is just incredible. So it really fits. How do we translate mifata as an ones mifata, to seduce? Shem says, I'll seduce you back to me. Wow, it's a heck of an offer. So, Radak is yet another spin on this. He said, I'm going to give you a translation. One who sways his friend from one mindset to another, he says, so is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He sways us from our gullus mindset of pleasure seeking after the Yetzer Hara, and instead to forsake the bad, embrace the good. And it is the embodiment of the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Ahasi Rosi Eslev Ha'even Ibesarchem V'nastati Lachem Leiv Basar. Listen to this. I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and replace it with a flesh and blood heart. I mean, doesn't get any more gorgeous than that. So again, listen to the words chosen from pasuk Yud Zayin. Yes, Emek Achor Petach Tikva, the valley of Achor as a plow land of hope. Says Ibn Ezra, Betachas She'achrasiha Shehu Emek Yoshuv LePetach Tikva. Emek Achor is the cursed valley of Israel, which we talked about in Perek Aleph, and it'll turn into a place of hope. Did you know that that was the biblical meaning of Petach Tikva? It's like the gateway of hope. Wow, I didn't. But that leads us to section 3. Psukim 18, Yud Ches through Chafbet. After all the bad things that will happen to us, Hashem will enter into a brit with us that will never be repealed. The ramifications of this 5-pasuk section are mind-blowing. Let's start with a punchline, which in my humble opinion is pasuk Chaf. The Charati Bahem Brit B'yom Hahu Im Chayat HaSodeh Im Of HaShamayim B'remes HaAdamah B'keshes V'cherev U'milchama Shbar Min HaAretz Hishkavtim Levetach. Listen, in this day, I'll make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the creeping things on the ground. I will also banish bow, sword, and war from the land. Thus, they can lie down in safety and security. So explains the Malbim, and again, I'll translate it for you. The natural order will no longer run mankind. Only the animals will be subject to the laws of nature. Not only that, but the Ribono Shel Olam will forge a bris with both men who wish to perpetrate evil upon us and those who would seek to align the animal kingdom in an unholy alliance against us. Hashem will turn the tables, and the animal predators will prey on our enemies. This is the meaning of Yishkavtim Lebetach. You have no natural enemies. That's a sense of security. Take it as a unit. Keshet v'cherev milchama eshbar min ha'aretz. Without predators, animal or otherwise, and further, the elimination of all weaponry, v'yishkavtim lo betach. That's security. Look at Pasuk Yud Ches. Vayah bayom hahun Hashem tikri ishi lolo tikri od ba'ali. You'll call me ishi. No more call me Baali. The change in how we address Hashem is both noteworthy and significant. The Mayam Lois explains it constitutes a complete rejection of idolatry, of the Baal. To the point we won't even use the term Baal, which is a legitimate way for a wife to address her husband, because we don't want the possibility of association with that term. We refer to Hashem as Ishi, my man. Mayam always adds another level of meaning. Baal is a conjugal mate. Baali is my conjugal master. It is through the wife trading on her conjugal favors with her master, or in this case with Hashem. What do we call a married woman? We call her a Bu'ulas Baal. When we elevate the term to Ishi, the relationship is on a higher, non-physical level. And the ultimate covenants of permanence that only the master of the universe can deliver, that all Jewish males from age 13 on recite daily when they bind their arms and heads of tefillin. Verastich lili olam. I will engage with you forever. Verastich li b'tzedek. He says, in righteousness, uva mishpat, and in justice, uva chesed v'rachamim, with goodness and mercy, verastich be'emuna, faithfulness, v'yadat, then as Hashem, then you'll know God. I said this more than once, and I'll probably say it another 1,000,000 times. A promise is only as powerful as the promise maker. And finally, the last section. Psukim Chaf Gimel through Chaf Hey. Then we will experience all the goodness Hashem can provide. The harsh, taunting names of Perek Aleph are reversed, not only in name but in deed. The haaretz ta'aneh es hadagon es hatirosh es hayitzhar ehem ya'anu es Yisrael. The earth will respond. New grain, wine, oil, and they shall respond to Yisrael. Uzaratiha li ba'aretz, richamti es lo ruchama, v'amarti lo ami, ami ata, uhu yomar Elokai. I will sow her in the land as my own, and take lo ruchama back into favor. And I will say to lo ami, you are my people, and he will respond, you are my God. Morai v'rabosai. If sin wasn't a possibility, teshuva wouldn't be part of our reality. As we have learned, mechila and teshuva play a big role in this parak, which makes our studies so germane to where we are in the Jewish calendar. It's also a lesson in the inherent fallibility of man. If Hosea, whom the Gemara calls the foremost of the Nevi'im, more so than Yeshaya, needs to do tshuva, and Hashem issues a personal plan how to accomplish it, and he's immediately answered, halachas kama v'kama. All of us should take this mussar. Personally, I beg mechila from each of you have in any way hurt, embarrassed, or disappointed you. Okay, on a housekeeping note, since Perek Gimel is 5 psukim, we're pretty confident, though we have a shorter week starting with a fast day, we're hopeful to have Shiur at the regular time and day next week. May we all be blessed with a year of life filled with the full cornucopia of Hashem's blessings. Naomi and I wish all of you and your families ksiva, chasima tova, for a healthy, successful, sweet, and happy new year.
Good afternoon. Gamlamar.
Thank you. Everybody, Beitos a good Yorah.
Everybody.
Brian, a quick question.
Yes.
You had said that the women tore off their earrings and threw them into the golden calf, but the
Yep.
Medrash says no. The women refused to give their jewelry.
That's not my recollection, and I think that the women did refuse to do something, but I don't think.
Women didn't
Participate
participate
in
in
the
Chet
Egel.
Egel and the tribe of Levi. Wasn't the women and wasn't the tribe of Levi. They were not part of the Chet.
There you go.
So somebody help me in what I'm remembering, because I'm not the only one who remembered it. That women taking off their earrings and throwing them into the fire.
That was the men. The men wore jewelry.
Their mirrors, and from the mirrors, they made the covering of the Mizbeach. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, but not the Egel.
Not the Egel.
I stand corrected, and to that I say, sometimes you're the steak, sometimes you're the cow. Okay, I stand corrected on that, and thank you very much for that. Wish you all ksivach sima tova.
Amen.
Good
Thank you, Ben. Should everybody.
healthy year for everybody. Time of gesund.